Okay, today we're going to look at section 1-2, which is application with linear and rational equations. We're talking about problem solving here, real world applications. First step is to read the problem carefully, determine what the problem is asking for, and assign variables to the unknown quantities. Make an appropriate figure or table if applicable. Label the given information variables in the figure or table. Write the equation that represents the variable model. The equation may be a known formula or one that you create that is unique to the problem. Solve the equation from step 3. Interpret the solution to the equation and check that is reasonable in the context of the problem. So again, we're going to look at the skill practice problems and see what we got going on here. First one is simple interest. Now, simple interest is calculated as interest equals PRT, where P is the principal, R is the rate in decimal, and T is the time in years. So for given months, we have to convert it to years. Now, if there's a question that requires a formula such as this on the exam, the formula will be given to you. So let's look at our example here. And this is skill practice 1. Franz borrowed a total of $10,000. Part of the money was borrowed from a lending institution. We'll call it a bank. And the amount borrowed, we don't know. We're calling it X. The interest rate, the lending institution that charged 5.5%. So the rate, so this would be the principal, I guess we should call it. This would be P. We're going to label it A, X from the bank. The interest rate, 5.5%, in decimal form is 0.055. The rest of the money was borrowed from a friend. So he has a friend. And the amount he borrowed from the friend is the total amount minus whatever he borrowed from the bank. So 10,000 minus X. His friend only charged him 2.5% interest. Now this is simple interest. Franz paid his friend back after 9 months. So the time here is 9 months, which is 0.75 years. And paid the lending institution after 2 years. If the total amount Franz paid in interest was $735, how much did he borrow from each source? So the total interest equals 735. This will be the interest from the bank plus the interest from the friend will equal 735. So using our formula, the interest from the bank equal to the principal X times the rate 0.055 times the time 2. So we get 0.11x. Interest from his friend is 10,000 minus x times 0.025. Let me give myself more room here. Interest from the friend is 10,000 minus x times 0.025 times 0.75. So let's look at our calculator here. We get 0.025 times 0.75. That gives us 10,000 minus x times 0.01875. Okay, so this would be equal 187.50 minus 0.01875 x. So combining these two together, the total interest, which is 735, equals 0.11x plus all of this, 187.50 minus 0.01875x. So we'll take this 187.50 and subtract it from both sides. That gives us 547.50. Then we'll combine the like terms here. 0.11 minus 0.01875, and that gives me 0.09125 times x. So we take this and divide it by 0.09125 divided by 0.09125, and that gives us $6,000 as x. So 6,000 from the bank, which means 10,000 minus 6,000 equals 4,000 from his friend. And there you go. Okay, skill practice number 2. We're looking at mixing. So we have how much of a 4% acid solution should be mixed with 200 milliliters of 12%. So we don't know that. We know the 12%, we have 200 milliliters. 200 milliliters. To make a 9% acid solution. So how much of it would be? It would be x plus 200. So essentially, we take 4% of x, which is 0.04 x, plus 12% of 200 is going to equal 9%, 0.09 times x plus 200. So this is 0.04x plus 24 equals 0.09x plus, my brain's not working today, so 200 times 0.09, 18. Okay. So if I take this and subtract it from both sides, I get 0.05x. If I subtract this 18 here, I get 6. Then I divide by 0.05. And I get 6 divided by 0.05 equals, so x equals 120 milliliters. So 120 milliliters of 4% solution added to 200 milliliters of 12% solution will give me 320 milliliters of 9% solution for you chemists out there. Okay, now we'll talk about uniform motion. So we have skill practice 3. Renee drove from Miami to Orlando, a total distance of 240 miles. He drove 1 hour in city traffic and 3 hours on the highway. If his average speed on the highway was 20 miles faster, so if his speed in the city is X, speed in the highway is X plus 20, determine his average speed driving in the city and his average speed driving on the highway. So he drove 1 hour at X miles per hour. 1 times X, that's the distance he traveled in the city. 3 hours at highway speeds of 3 times X plus 20. So that's how far he traveled on the highway. And when you add those two together, you get the total distance traveled, which is 240. So we have X plus, distributing the 3, we get 3X plus 60 equals 240. So I have 4X plus 60 equals 240. Subtract the 60 from both sides. Then divide by 4 and we get 45 miles per hour. That's in the city. So 45 miles per hour in the city, 20 plus 45 is 65 miles per hour on the highway. So now looking at skill practice 4. We're looking at rate of work done. So I have Sheldon and Penny. They were awarded a contract to paint 16 offices in the new Bath building at the university. Once all the preparation work is complete, Sheldon can complete an office in 30 minutes. Penny can paint an office in 45 minutes. So Sheldon and Penny, we have 30 minutes and 45 minutes. How long would it take one to paint one office? So we have one office in 30 minutes, plus one office in 45 minutes, equals one office in some unknown amount of minutes. Okay. So I need to find a common denominator. And it looks like 90 will work. So this will be 3 over 90 plus 2 over 90 equals 1 over t. So I have 5 over 90 equals 1 over t. So I can multiply both sides by t and get 5t over 90 equals 1. Then I can multiply both sides by 90 and get 5t equals 90. Then I can divide by 5 and get t equals 18 minutes. And that is part A. Part B asks, how long will it take to paint all 16 offices? Well, it takes them 18 minutes to paint one, and there's 16 of them. What do we end up with? 18 times 16. That's 288 minutes, which is what, 4 hours, 48 minutes. Or what, 4.8 hours? So that brings us to skill practice 5. And here we're going to talk about proportions. So for the 104th Congress, there are 4 more Republicans than Democrats in the U.S. Senate. So I have Democrats and I have Republicans. I have X Democrats, so I have X plus 4 Republicans. This resulted in a ratio of 13 Republicans. R to D is 13 Republicans to 12 Democrats. How many senators were Republican and how many were Democrat? Now we can set up a proportion equation. So we have Republicans to Democrats is equal to Republicans to Democrats. And the way we solve a proportion equation is cross multiplying. So here I have 13 times X equals 12 times X plus 4. I have 13X equals 12X plus 48. Subtract 12X from both sides. I get X equals 48. So this is 48, which makes this 52. And that completes section 1.2. A lot of this should be review, which brings me to section 1.3. The assumption is that you learned complex numbers either previously or in MAT 1033A. So section 1.3, complex numbers, is skipped. Now, before I go on, I will say this about that section. Wow, we know I will not test you on complex numbers. Some of the homework in the next section, 1.4, may include complex numbers. So if you come across one you can't figure out, just let me know and I'll help you out with it. But that's it for this section. 1, 2, and really 1, 3 for that matter. Have a good day, and I will see you next time.